Perfect. Let's move on. We are approaching the final presentation of the Navigate Future event. It is called How to Reach the Best User Experience in BPM and QM. So it's just in relation to the previous presentation. And I'm happy, that we have Stefan Werkles from our partner Blank Solutions. Also, Oliver Zeller is going to present, and I think also a other Oliver from our company who is working in the software development division. Maybe just a few introductory words. I think knowing Symbio World, you know that our passion and daily motivation is to provide the Symbio users with a extraordinary user experience and user interface. So that's what drives us on a daily basis. And Stefan and Oliver, they're going to show us how to, show us the whole approach of defining new user interfaces. And also we're going to have a look into the development of UI components. And I think also then finally we're going to see a few designs, or even let's call it the test environment of the new Business Navigator. So Stefan and Oliver, you may start your presentation. You are already sharing, which is great.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, Ansgar. So yeah, Stefan, I think you should introduce yourself, or?
Okay, yeah, why not? Thank you very much. Nice to meet you. My name is Stefan Werkles. I'm the owner of Blank Studio, a digital agency located here in Munich. And I mean, our specialty is that we, as a digital agency, develop unique user interfaces with a consistent user experience. And this is what we currently also, since a while, I think 1.5 years now, together with Symbio World, are doing in the special case of the Symbio Business Navigator. Our approach is always that we do conception and consulting close together with our clients. So when we are working with our clients, we really try to be part of the team. This is really what we want to achieve. Like doing a creative brainstorming together, designing new front ends, new websites, or just simple components and parts of software, as close as possible with the team. In this case, with Symbio. In that direction, we always try to work as agile as possible, so that we, let's say, we are like your personal tech geek friend that next to your side, in close to your team.
So Stefan, thanks. I can only say that's not only that you say this is really true. And it is an amazing journey now. I think we work very, very closely together, and this began, I think it's now 1.5 years. When we looked into the market, we decided, no, we are not expert in user experience. And especially when you look into a development team, we have a brilliant development team, amazing people, but they are not really user designers and experience designers. So, and we decided to search the market. And I remember the first day when he came up, he had already a new user front end for the existing tool designed, and he was like putting up the T-shirt, or what you say when the Ärmel hochkrempeln. And this is really like this, and I only can say that makes a lot of fun. Thanks in your direction,
Thank you,
Stefan, and I'm very happy to give you a little bit of insight today what we're really doing in this process, and Stefan will show quickly the process, how we go into it, and then we really go into it. And from our perspective, we also believe that you will be much more successful in the future in your company with a new user experience. And I'm not only talking about user experience, I think it's employee experience. And we have to learn that this will be a very, very important topic to get all the people activated and to have at the end a personal assistant. But Stefan, and also perhaps in our round is Oliver. He's one of our developers. It's yeah, I think you now it's at a half for nearly a year in the company, or
Almost
longer.
2 years.
2 years. Oh, sorry. So perhaps you introduce quickly yourself, and then Stefan, let's start into the process.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, my name is Oliver Scheibert. As you heard, I'm a relatively new developer. I started my career with SymbiWorld after my bachelor's degree in computer science, and yeah, for the past 7 months it's been now, I'm happy to be working on the Navigator.
Yeah. And I think you said to me sometimes it makes a lot of fun to develop this user front end, huh? Oliver.
Yes, it's an amazing process when we get the design from Stefan and then just put life into it.
Great. So yeah, Stefan, please.
All right. Yeah, what we want to show you, or we want to give you the opportunity to have like a view on how the process when developing for the Symbio Business Navigator, how this works in our case, and the infrastructure and the process that we have built over the last 1.5 years. And I think I was able to hear the last parts of the presentation in front, and I heard these nice words about how the process got involved and how we were able then in the end by getting user experience voices, so to speak, and let them be part of the process. And I think this process that we have right now here is got better and better, and in this case is always also integrating these users more and more, which is great. And to give you a quick overview how the user interface development in our case works is it's split into like 5 parts. So we have first the story and design, which means we have a specific use case for which we create a story and corresponding design. The next part is the prototype development that can be tested then in the first stage. The third stage is the data source connection, which means that the static prototype is connected to real data sources. After that, we merge into repository. That means that the new developed code, so to speak, gets uploaded to the shared repository where every one of the developers has access to. And then in the very last step, we are talking about the deployment. So that means that the new component, for example, that we have built will be made available on different stages, like a development stage, a test stage, or even then the production stage. And to dive into a bit more detail, I have this little overview here for you. And this explains a little bit more in detail what is really happening. So as I just mentioned, it all starts with designing a story. So imagine we have a specific use case for a new functionality, a content that should be made available through the Business Navigator. Then, for example, Oliver and me, we together review this specific use case and design a story for that. So we really ask ourselves what is needed here, how can we represent this specific use case in our software front end so that it will be made available for the end user then, so that of course he can work with that new component as good as possible. So meaning after we have that story, we create a first draft, a design draft in our design tool, which is then the design prototype for that new interface. While we are doing that, we of course always brainstorm and validate the design that we created against the story that we created in the very beginning, or against the use case that we have, so that all the time we also know the design that we created is still fitting the use case and is going to be a solution for that use case. When we have a first version of the design, we go over to the next stage, which is developing the prototype in Blazor. Blazor is a very nice framework provided by Microsoft, which stands for Real-Time and Secure-Based Web Applications, and gives us the opportunity to very fast create static components out of the box, which can be made available for tests very, very fast. And this is also the reason why we have added this customer review bar here at the very top, because we want to let you know that our scope and our what we want to achieve is that in very early stages, these kind of prototypes can be made available to our customers and end users, so that we as early as possible get a feedback and can use that kind of feedback in our prototype, in our designs, and make maybe a version 2.1, so to speak. And this process, as you can see that from the blue line here, the idea is that we can repeat that every time. So once we have developed the first prototype, we will hand over to the next stage, which is communicating with the backend team, like with Oliver, for example, who's then connecting that static component that we developed with the real data source. Really important are the unit tests, which stand for very secure testing that let's say validates the code that has been created. If this is also like fine code, which we have some compatibility tests and validation tests if the code is successfully with the requirements. The fourth stage is then, as I mentioned, creating a pull request in the repository. This is how it's called when the new code is uploaded to that shared repository, where Oliver then also has access to. And from there on, the automatic testing of merge compatibility is going to be executed automatically. And in Persona, architects will review the code again and again. So you can see we validate all the time, but with a clear structure and process what we are doing, so that a lot of people always have an overview what is going on. Before we will be in the last stage with the continuous deployment, that then really means that the new component will be made available on the different stages, like the development environment, the test environment, and then in the very end, of course, also the production environment. What is the big advantage of this process? Where we will dive into the very live session right now is dry templating, which means that we don't have to repeat ourselves. So we have a clear structure where we create modules that we can use in a lot of different situations again and again. So we have a compressed code base, so to speak. We have fast prototyping with short time to market. As I mentioned before, we can create these components and make them available very, very fast to make the user experience tests. We can do a lot of testing so that we don't have any errors. We have high safety standards due to the fact that we have that clear structure and automatic as also the manual tests. And due to the fact that we have split it off the back-end part and the front-end part, which is the UI design, so to speak, we have maximum flexibility. So whatever use case we will have, whatever user story we have, we can create really beautiful designs that totally fit the use case, so that we, as I mentioned in the very beginning, have a very nice user experience, what should be the final goal, I guess. Okay, I would switch over to the live code, so to speak. Oliver, I think you wanted to say something, but you're muted, no? There we go.
No. It's exactly. I think that's all the points. It's very important also for our customer, but we come at the end to it. In the future, it will be easy to really fulfill amazing user interfaces, and this will start now in the way of what we can do there. And there was also establishing a lot of in the background. Also, the base for the navigator is the data warehouse. It also brings us more flexibility and the possibility to show it. So yeah, let's start. I think what you see here, I saw it a lot of times. So it is the special sketch tool from Stefan. Yeah. And sometimes this also breaks, and then you have to reboot, but only sometimes. And yeah, what we've done here, and we use now an example to give you a little bit of insight what we're discussing here. So this is the journal page, and it is not the last version of the journal page, but this is not the topic for today, because we changed the journal page again, because we are very critical, and we still come up to the customer and say, hey, is this working? Also internal, and then we get feedback. So the problem was, if you, for example, go a little bit down, Stefan, to the activity list, we have this activity list. We click on the activities. These are the activities from a sub-process, and we get this called the detail content. All of you know the detail content, but it was also for us to have a more flexible detail content. You can search in this detail content, and there's a focus area, there's a detail area, there's a relation area. This is something, it's a clear understanding that we make it much smaller than the existing one. But the problem was when we had this, and when you look to this now, it's overwhelming you. It's too much. And then we thought, what can we do? And yeah, you made some proposal, and we thought about, let's make it a little bit darker, because then it comes up. Yeah, but there is still the need to click in this action list, in this activity list, because people and all our customers, they like to go through and say, hey, I would like to go to this, or I click on the resources like a system or a touch point or a document, and I would like to see it directly. And I don't want to click, open the dialog, close the dialog. I think that's not really user-friendly. So there was a lot of discussion, and what can we do? And then we decide, no, we are not doing it in this way. And we came up with this idea to say, no, we need something that covers the complete page. But now we have the problem, it's a dialogue, or we say also modal, Stefan, huh? And how we can now switch between the different steps, or to switch to a tool, or to go through. And if you have a list of processes, you would like to have this in a certain order, to go to the next, to the next, to the next. And we came up in this idea to say, hey, let's try this direct in the dialogue. And what you see here is we have this possibility to say, hey, we clicked on a task, Risikoklasse berechnen, but we can now go to the next in the dialog. We can also switch the topic from task to a role. And that's also possible. So this dialogue has now more intelligent, has more possibilities, but it's still only the focus on this dialogue. And it's not an overwhelming with a lot of details, with a lot of stuff. And we also said it should be bigger. So if you look, for example, to this credit controller, you go down with your mouse and you go over it, it highlights, and it gives you the possibility to say, I see directly the attachments. I can directly do a request. I can directly do a subscription, or I can jump directly to the journal. And I see the stereotype, it's an external role, for example. And exactly the same for the attachments and all the other fields. And we also found out it's easy because this dialog will change from the different topics that I select, for example, role and what else we select, like a system. And this gives us really a good opportunity to do it very, very quick. And for sure, we need still this detailed dialogue, especially when we go through a graphical view. If we have the graphical view, it is not possible, it's not nice if we have something that comes over it, but then it's a graphical view and only a detailed content, it's not overwhelming. And I think that's very, very important. And this was a process, again and again. So Oliver is in the room. He connected the existing dialogue, the detailed dialogue already. And we came up and said, Oliver, we changed it. So sorry for your work. We're now going for this dialogue, but it's not a real problem. It's not a real big work, but I think that's a very important process. So yeah, Stefan, you can also say something because what?
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, you see, we have a little difference between the first version and the second version. And what I want to show you now not is how I really develop the new version, because it would maybe take a bit too much time and be a bit boring for you, but I prepared something. So you can see here my environment. Hope you can see the entire screen, right? Okay, so what we have here is our development environment. And at the current status, I have here the real local test environment of the Symbio Business Navigator with the old version of that.
The existing.
the existing one, correct.
Yeah.
So
yep.
we can
see
you
do me a favor before you close it? Search quickly for transport so that the people see what I'm talking about and how flexible this in the future is. So there's also, I call it a search, and Elmar is often told me, no, Oliver, it's not a search, it's a filter. And I'm now saying also it's a filter, but then you can really easy filter the information. And if you go over it, say over some of the then you see you can directly, it comes up with the journal. That was what we talked about. So yeah, go on, please. Sorry.
Yeah, but that's a very good topic here, because with that search, what we're doing, you can see this reactivity of the framework called Blazor. So it's just like the name, blazing fast, so to speak. So as you can see, once I start typing, it really just gets started and finds the results for you, which is pretty cool, I think. So closing the version which we currently have of that dialog of the detailed content, you can see, okay, I click on that activity here and it opens up the sidebar loading the content. Once this is done, you got presented with all the detailed content. So now what we want to have is the new version, which we just saw in the design draft. So I prepared something here. Let me just quickly switch over to my separate branch for that, which will reload my local environment, which takes a few seconds, I guess. And in the meantime, I can prepare my new code that I have added already. And this is the code that will be uploaded then to the shared repository so that
it's a shared
Oliver
repository with our company,
available.
Stefan. Yeah, that's important.
Correct.
So we work both on a same environment.
Yeah. Yeah, now you see the environment is reloading, and after a few seconds, when the content is available, there we go. And I now click on that activity again. You can see now we have the new version, which is more like the version that we created in the design just before. So you have now that drop down here with the task where you can filter through the different facets. We have integrated the static labels for the items within that sub-process so that we have that newly integrated navigation, so you can walk through, so to speak, through the different tasks within the sub-process. Also, the layout got changed a little bit. We have these tabs where you can navigate through the different categories of the detail content. You can search the content within the current activated tab. And of course, the roles, inputs, and all the detailed data that we had before, but now in that newly designed model. I have a little update, so let me implement that. And once this is done, I can upload that. If I go back into my history, now I see I have some changes, and let me quickly upload that to the shared repository. So I'm going to commit that. I will give it a name. Let's call it I added backdrop blur for better focus on the detail content. And this update will be directly uploaded now to the shared repository. So I'm going to commit this. And once this is done, I will go over to that shared repository, which is this one here. This is called Azure DevOps. And let me quickly refresh, and we're in that App Navigator repository. And you can see here really in live that my branch, which is called Update the Detail Content UI, just now got updated. So that means with the new design, Oliver now has access to it. And with this, I want to hand over to Oliver to show you then, of course, the next steps, what's going to happen now.
Okay. Thank you very much. I will take over and I will show you a deeper dive into the machine that is SymBioWorld. So I'm starting at the same point that Stefan left off. I can see his changes that he just made just now and made available to me. And in the next step, I would be able to look at it on my own machine and continue working. One example that I want to show you today is what we did in the past for the current version of this detail content and how we developed it. Right? So everything we do is managed into features. For example, we have a feature for a journal, and under this features, we can find something we call product backlog items. This is just like a small portion of work. I want to show the other one. For the detail model, it's just a small portion of work where we as developer organize ourselves in. For example, here with this item, we developed the details model.
Yeah, it's also important to know that this is a complete, we're coming from a theme to Epic, to a feature, to a PBI, and this is also completely synchronized with the roadmap, and it's also completely managed by our product team, and especially from Elmar to also manage the priorities here. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now we are here at this item. My developer team will now step in, look at the design, what's required of the functionality, and then there's already the feedback happening between the designer and our business expert, for example, Oliver here, where we say, yeah, for example, we don't have this data yet, so we need to change something in our data warehouse. Right, and then we talk about what's possible with our technology and how much time, for example, it costs, right? And this is also the first opportunity for us developers to give feedback on the dialogue, the design, and incorporate that. For example, here this details model, as you can see on the bottom right, it's 38 tasks, so 38 individual steps were required to actually get the first version of the details model to work, right? Okay, and yeah, here we can see how we organize ourselves, have a description, what should happen, what's required of the detail model, what is the acceptance criteria, right? And then we also write the release notes that is then processed by our, I think, support team. Yeah. And okay, right now we have this item set. Everyone knows what is to do. We are, as developer, we are now developing the code, and once we are finished, we, like Stefan said, we create the a pull request. Where is it? I wanted to show this one.
How many people are in the pull request involved normally?
So we in our company have the policy of 6I principles. So at least four eyes on our own team need to look at the code that we did. So excluding myself, for example, for this pull request, I wrote most of the code, and now I have 2 of my coworkers in my own team looking at it. And then we also require that an architect, a senior developer from another team also looks at what we did, right? So we spread the knowledge of everything, and 3 people have to look at it. Okay, right. Now, for example, if I click on files, you can see a little bit behind the scenes. This is the code that I produced during the work. This includes, for example, here add loading animations for the detail model. Let's see what it looks like. Right, here's you see the pulsing effect that is basically done here. And during this work, I developed all kinds of unit tests that also make sure that the code is working, that the code will continue to work in the future, and which in general improves our code quality. Right? So, for example, here I have some GIFs. Okay, and then the next step, everything is finished. The development, or the first step of the development, is finished. What happens now is this code is pushed in our main repository, right, which will start all of our continuous deployment workflows. As you saw, we have the 3 different stages, development, testing, and production. And everything will start from this point, right? So this code will now be tested again in the development environment. It's integration tests, making sure everything is working, integrated into the whole system. And once that's finished and successful, we as the Symbio company have access to our newest developments. Right? So at this point, I will now go again to Oliver, our business experts say, hey, we are finished with this piece of work. You can now look at it on the dev environment, right? And then we can look at it together, improve it again.
Should we look to the dev environment?
Of course.
Yeah, let's look into the dev environment. So what we now see here is, and we have the dev environment from the new navigator, and it would be nice, or I can also switch to my I already I could take over quickly. Then I have open. So I've opened the different screens as well. Here in the back, we have the dev environment. It's the same environment that Oliver was in. So you see, this is the new home page. And now, for example, the request form is something that I'm not sure if I still, let's try quickly if I'm still authenticated. Let's do this quickly, yeah. And here you see there's also some fixed elements at the moment in the navigator on the home side from the DB nets. But here you see now the home page of the new navigator, and it's very important. It is easy and possible to let's move it and let's make it a little bit smaller, like on different device. You see this works very nice, and I like it to go in with my mobile device into the navigator. Sometimes I do this, and then I like it a little bit more than on a normal PC. It works really, really nice on the mobile device, and you see this is all very responsive and lovely, and we have also more emotion here inside. It was also very important for us. And if you look, for example, to this new slider here, it is also very nice. So I give you an example here in this dev environment. We are still working at the moment, exactly at the moment or during the day on, for example, on this request form. This is still the Blazor app that came from Stefan. And at the moment, the team is connecting the data to this dialogue. And then at the moment, it's not really working because I can't search here. I can use the drop downs. Yes, this is possible, but I can't choose any information. So, but it gives me the possibility to see how it looks, how is the dialogue. And in this moment, when we had the first dialogue on the computer, we saw exactly, hey, it's too big, the dialogue. We should make the dialogue a little bit smaller in a smaller PC also on the mobile device. It's not so nice, so we changed it, and this is exactly what we can do. It's really, really quick development. So it's very easy when we talked about the new dialogue that was this week. The dialogue that you saw from Stefan that he developed. This was in the beginning of this week, and he developed it in the Blazor app this week. And this is now the power that we can bring into that to have a really, really fast view of the developments, and we can work with that. And that was also the point with Deutsche Bahn, that we had a really early stage where we had dialogues like this. The problem was when you give dialogues like this to people, they don't understand the principle. They click there and say, hey, why can I click? What can I do here? What can I search here? And that was sometimes the problem in the user tests, in the employee tests. But we explained it, but it was from a user experience, it was definitely still a lot of good feedback, because we saw if they are get used to this information if it is possible to see it. And so that was, I think, a brilliant feedback that we got. So for example, I can give you an example here also in this area here. When we look to this subscription or request, we had in the beginning only an icon here on the top, and we got the feedback, no, we need some more explanation. So that was the reason why we said, then go for an icon and the description. And it's also very important what we also learned here. It's also when we look here on the learn more, then we come really on a page where we explain the learn more. We are still working on that. So there will be a complete background landing page, not as a help for the navigator, more as a information. Why is it so important to have this request dialog? What should I do? What it means when I bring it into a connection to a certain topic? What is the process behind, to give the people that work with that more information, more insights, not from a technical point of view, more from a process point of view, more from a understanding point of view. What is the reason why we are doing that? So this, I think it's very important. And let's have a quick look into the search, because I think that's also very nice. If we go into the search here, you see how quick it goes, and then we can see here in this little dialogue already search results. I put goods in it. I searched in all the facets. I got the succession bar, or the dialog will show me 7 results from 35 results. I can go there and say, hey, I go on a certain process, and I see already the picture, I see who is responsible, what is the explanation, and I can open directly to Sean, or I can have a look on all the results, or I get other succession. So if I click there, it will be automatically come up there and will give me more insights. So this will grow the functionality, the possibilities, and the intelligence of the search. There we have a lot of also nice ideas together with the customer, and and then we can also, if we say, okay, let's go for goods, and then we have this 35, and we can also say, let's have a look to the complete results. And you see, this is lovely, the speed and what you can do, and then say, hey, let's sort this by the last changes, or let's say, oh no, I only want to see the processes. You see all the figures behind, and then you save it, and we have a really nice responsiveness. Performance is a very major topic here, and that gives us a good base to improve it. And you can also see, for example, this hierarchy. It's also a good example. We talked a lot that we need a search result, and on the left side we need a hierarchy. That will come in the future. But we also said it's important to have the hierarchy, and in the beginning it was the idea to show the hierarchy directly on the search result, and that's too much. And then we said, okay, let's have the small button, you see the hierarchy, and then you can also go there in the hierarchy up and say main process, structure process, a category, a process house, and you can jump directly from there into these elements. So, and also, if you would like to subscribe this, or if you would like to give feedback, if you would like to see which version is behind, and in the future we will have not only the release, we have also released valid and in preview. So the navigator will get all the releases, the preview, the review mode will come into it. Yes. What else? Now I'm a little bit in the presentation from the navigator, but anyway, and you can also choose, say, for example, only the processes directly here. That's also possible, and so that it's only searching in the processes. Are there any questions, Ansgar?
well, questions which were raised anonymously, they were then also answered anonymously. So there's, yes? Can you hear me?
Okay, that's my problem.
I can
Okay, wait, it's me.
Yeah.
I have this problem here. Short moment. Oh. Yeah, I don't know.
We can hear you.
Yes. So I'm not sure, Oliver, if you can hear me now. I was just saying questions are currently being answered. Some are published, others not. Now there's time for more questions. I think there were questions on the responsiveness. You've showed that if it's then also available as an app. So yes. Also the fact that maybe just a general information, so this navigator will replace the current viewer modus, you know, from Symbio. So when you switch from editor to viewer, you are in the, let's say, publishing or in the knowledge portal, whatever way you call it, and this will be replaced by the business navigator. Obviously, you can then also define a link from the navigator to the old publishing and vice versa. So I think that's then up to each customer, and we can then also give you support and consulting whether you go with the big bang or the smooth transition. So there are many options. So I think we are going to start discussions with all customers now starting on August. Also, we are happy if you approach us saying that you would be one of the first customers or piloting it, for example.
Yeah, sorry, I had technical problems.
No problem.
But Stefan, can you share the presentation? So we will also come up, you said it already, to the customers, and then we can also go deeper into the navigator and into the development, not into the new front ends. So yeah, what's next?
Exactly, what's next? I think one sentence to sum it up, what we all saw now, Oliver, what you just presented with the navigator. I think that was very good example of how the process is working just nice, that we have really specific components in the navigator that need also a very specific functionality, a specific design, how you can work with it. And instead of using predefined components from a, let's say, framework or whatever, we do that on our own, and that gives us really the option to, as I mentioned in the very beginning, to check for the use case and create a corresponding component which maximum fits the use case, so that we, in the end, create the best user experience which is possible. And here, this slide, maybe Oliver, you want to explain a little bit about these screenshots. We have some sneak peeks what will go on next, so to say.
Yeah, so for example, what in the middle you see, for example, a customer journey. We will also show the process models like this. This is the new matrix view. There will be integrated dashboards. We have some dialogues like this where you can go through, make a walkthrough through the processes. Or on the bottom, you see, for example, the new review functionality that is connected to the right one. This is the action center. There will be a Kanban board coming up in the action center for all the tasks. And in the middle, you see the new visualization. So this, I think it's an amazing topic, and I'm so looking forward to, because we are already there to have a real nice zooming in, zooming out. If you click on something in a list, you come directly highlighted in the middle of the process model. And this technology gives us especially the possibility to do the same like Google Maps. When we're talking from Google Maps, it's only our metaphor, but we searched and we looked at Google Maps, and when we decided that we can really reuse a lot of nice possibilities. So you can go in with the mouse wheel, you can use your fingers smoothly, zoom in, zoom out, and this will work also in the future from the process landscape down to the process model. And it means if you wide up a process task, you can see all the details inside, and also the possibility to use this with interactions with, say, hey, I need a video there, I need something that I can highlight, I can click on the roles on the top of the view. It's like the restaurants. When you click on restaurants in Google Maps, you will see all the restaurants where they are, and then you see all the roles, and we will have a nice user interface as well for that. So it makes it completely new, the way of how you can deal with the process models and how we deal with the different views on the process models. And we will definitely work as hard as possible to make as a beautiful interface. And I drive this also very hard together with Stefan and Elmar. We're driving it from the idea, and we're driving it especially with the customers, and show them the results and show them the ideas to get early feedback. On the right side, you see something from the new modeler that comes up next year. We already have designs for that. And this is also special. There will be a real nice connection then also to the OBM at the end. And then we can drive also this, that you can reuse existing content and you don't have to do it all by yourself. Yeah. So yeah, but I think it's very important, Stefan. So if you go quickly to the next slide, that brings up the idea and the topic. So this is what we can also offer you. And this will be also the future, to make a custom design, especially to help you also if you say, hey, I don't have the capability to design, for example, my process landscape, or how can I do this? How can I get the navigator into my company? So we help you for that. So it's we also integrate a Blank Studio, Blank Digital Studio into this process. And also, if you say, hey, we have a need for a new view, let's design it together. Let's design and develop the new front end. And at the end, it will be also the possibility to say, I need this view, I need this view, that you can configure this. And also, if you need, for example, reports and dashboards design, this is also what we would support. So if you do a nice Power BI dashboard, we can help you to make it much better, and at the end to design it. So this, I think, is also a very important topic. And I learned it, and I heard it also from a lot of other suppliers, and not only suppliers, partners, that they say we have to concentrate on user experience. Yeah. So it's very important. Don't see it as only as a design. It's at the end your business card, or your card that you deliver to your employees, and that shows your work as a quality manager, as a process manager, as a IT manager. And I think that's at the end very important. Yeah.